I've been thinking a lot this week about success and what is it that allows us to create greater and greater success, however we define it individually for ourselves. When it comes to learning from other people, for example, I look at what other people on YouTube are doing, what other people on Instagram are doing, people who have plenty of followers, who have big numbers, who have success. But one thing that I've realized over time is that there is only so much we can learn from people who do not share similar dharma to us. So there is only so much we can learn from people who do not have a dharmic resonance with us. We are interested in uplifting the world. We are interested and deeply committed to creating a better world, a world that is more beautiful, that is more harmonious, and that is based on greater coherence. We are committed to creating a world that is fundamentally directed towards human fulfillment, to the fulfillment of human potential. So, when we look at people who are very successful on social media, not all of them share that particular outlook. There are many who are simply interested in their own personal success at whatever cost. And that's a very sort of black and white presentation of the situation. Actually, it's much more nuanced than that. So there are many people who will say that they're interested in sharing, in creating community. That's a word that's bandied around a lot, that they're creating community, that they're creating spaces for people to gather. But actually, that commitment is very thin. And if you really start to listen to them more and spend more time in their vibrational field, it becomes apparent that actually that is not a true resonance for them at all. Their resonance is much more closed, much smaller, and in fact lacks coherence. Because so it's not really to do with are they good or are they bad. It's more to do with their maturity. It's more to do with their level of maturity as a human being. And it's also to do with their world outlook, with their world view. So, yes, there are things that I have learnt from such people, but I've also realized that I should not go too far down their rabbit hole because I don't want to get caught up in resonances that do not align with my dharma, with resonances that do not align with my worldview and what I am here to achieve. So, reflecting on success, that's been really the thing that's been moving around my mind this week. Reflecting on success, we can learn from others. We can learn from people who don't share our dharmic resonance. But it's important to put that information through our own filter. You have to take that information and filter it through your own resonance. And that takes time. I think it's important to marinate in your own essence and take time for that new information to filter through, to play through your own thought patterns, to play through your own resonance, and then allow it to find its own expression. So there will be subtle differences. You might take a key idea from somebody else about how they have created success. And when you let that percolate through your own system, it will find its own expression. And that is the expression that you should follow, because that is the expression that's going to be true to you. And ultimately, that is the expression that is going to bring you success with the least friction and with the greatest ease. Yesterday, I did a photo and video shoot. For the first time in a very long time, I did an official photo and video shoot. If you've been following my work for some time, you'll know that the last few years have been a real process of spiraling through many different wonderful seeking of new expression. It's been a time of great change internally for me, great change in my external identity, death of old identities, the birth of a new identity. And things have really landed in the last few months. So I thought it's time to do another photo and video shoot. And it was beautiful, an absolutely exquisite experience working with a wonderful team. And so, of course, adornment, I've been thinking a lot about adornment for the photo shoot, what I was going to wear, planning that in great detail, very specifically. So I wanted to show you this. Look at this beautiful, exquisite sari. And I paired this with a very simple black tank top and a pair of leggings. And we draped it in interesting ways. So one of the things that I really enjoy about putting together an outfit, whether it's for a photo shoot or for just for myself, for everyday life, I enjoy contrast. I enjoy pairing things together that you wouldn't normally put together. I think it suits my self-expression because I see the joining up of things. I join up dots that most people wouldn't join up. I'm very interested in putting together things that wouldn't normally come together, because I think that's when you create something very quirky, something unexpected and delightful. So the pairing needs to create delight. It needs to create surprise, but a kind of a surprise and then at the same time pulling in. So the impact that I'm going for is that the viewer sort of pulls out and is pulled in at the same time. So there's this momentum, there's this rhythm, there's this movement, this sort of expansion and coming in at the same time. And I think pairing this exquisite, very potent color and vibrant material along with a very simple black tank top and leggings, just it's one of the things that I really enjoy. It's the kind of pairing that I find especially interesting, potent as a form of self-expression, because that's the other piece, is which mode, which tone of self-expression are you generating through your adornment? And of course, that palette is infinite. The palette is absolutely infinite. I think this is why adornment is so joyful, because it's a source of endless creativity. If you are able to look at your wardrobe with completely open vision, put aside any expectations like day wear and evening wear, or saris and Indian jewelry versus suits and dresses. If you put aside all of those boxes and simply look at what you have in front of you, you will become aware that actually you have a palette for an incredible creativity and self-expression. So then if you look at this and you tap into which qualities really bring you alive, what are the qualities that you would like to express? Now you are able to see pairings within your wardrobe that you would not have otherwise spotted. I am very interested in the quirky. I'm interested in the maverick. I'm interested in things that are a little offbeat, things that surprise. So I bring that vision to my wardrobe. So when I open my wardrobe and look at what there is, I'm looking through that particular lens. I'm looking to express those qualities. And that is how I'm able to create very unusual pairings in my costuming, both for an official photo shoot and for my everyday life. So, of course, my consumption was very much geared towards preparing the body for yesterday. The day before, I made sure that I had a very substantial meal in the evening that had a lot of protein in it, ate reasonably early in the evening, and then in the morning, so before I went to the location, I had some muesli, tea. I kept it very simple and very, very light because for me, what happens on the day of performance, because a photo and video shoot for me is a performance, the body sort of switches off from food mode. So I make sure that I've nurtured in advance so that there is plenty of reserves for energy, for paying attention to all the different things that I need to hold in mind. And on the day, I don't really need to think about food. So I ate very normally and a fairly small contained breakfast of muesli, went off, set up. We did a couple of hours of work and then we did break for lunch. Interestingly, I wasn't particularly hungry because, like I say, in those situations, when I'm in performance mode, I'm not thinking about food. The digestion, the stomach just goes into a different phase. I'm literally, if you think about it from an energetic perspective, the energy that is usually moving downwards through the digestive system is actually now turned upwards into creativity. That is literally physiologically and energetically what is happening. So I'm not very connected to food, but we did stop to eat lunch and I wanted to eat with my teammates. So it was more of a social thing for me. And actually, the food at the place that we were filming in was absolutely delicious. It was wonderful. We had a lovely time, very convivial. It was more the company as well, the company and the conversation. You know, when you work with people who are wonderful people, wonderful artists, and there is a beautiful vibe of harmony, that is also incredibly nourishing. So we had lunch, went back and did a final hour and a quarter of or so of work and wrapped up. And then I came back home. I'm trying to think now what I ate in the evening. Yes, I sort of just snacked and I did eat, but I kind of snacked more than anything else because after the filming, my whole energy was still very much in that creative mode. It was still very uplifted, very much upward turned. So the whole space of digestion and reaching for food, that had not quite settled back in. So, and this has been the case for me for as long as I can remember around performance days. My digestion operates very, very differently. My sadhana this week has not been very present. um, I was preparing very much for yesterday, and my whole energy, my whole being was really focused into getting ready for filming yesterday. So we could say, in a way, that became the sadhana because it completely took over my whole being. It's not that I was thinking about it all day, every day, not by any means, but I had it in my awareness. You know, it became this focal point that everything I was doing was just moving towards that direction. It's an interesting focus without being hard. So maybe the better word rather than focus is a tendency. I had generated a tendency within my body being such that throughout the week, everything was heading towards that direction. Everything was pointing, was pouring, was leading into yesterday's filming. So In that state, when the whole being, certainly this is how it is for me, my whole being is operating in that mode. So the idea of having a daily sadhana, a daily routine, actually just goes out the window for me, because I'm in much more of a floating kind of state. And ideas will come in. So I showed you earlier the beautiful sari material. That was one of the outfits that I used. But the whole holding this whole production, and I do approach it as an entire production, thinking about the location and the flow of the day and the people who are going to be present and the costuming, the adornment, what we're creating. You know, I created a whole storyboard in my mind. Um, it's very consuming. So, in that sense, the creative act becomes sadhana, or maybe we could say it takes the place of sadhana for me in that period of time. So, it's been a week of living in beauty, really, and sensing into the subtler realms of my own creativity and what wants to come through. And there is a final piece that I wanted to share that links back to the beginning of the video about success. And it's to do with self-image. You know, I said earlier in the video that when we learn from people who are not aligned with our dharmic resonance, there's only so much we can learn from them. And this has got me thinking about self-image, the self-image that we carry for ourselves. I've realized over time that self-image is actually a key determining factor for success. Success meaning whatever you decide you want to achieve. The gap between where you are and the achievement of your success is largely determined by self-image. See, it's a very interesting word because I think it can come across as very superficial, but I'm not talking about anything superficial. There is this Sanskrit word, swamurti, which we can literally translate as self-image or self-projection. How do you sense yourself? I wouldn't even say it's about how you view yourself. It's about how you sense yourself. And a lot of that, a lot of our self-image is conditioned by our upbringing, by our parents' view, by their substance, by what they thought was available to them, by their level of success. There's a whole ancestral karma that comes in. There is the karma from your own previous lives that comes in. All of these things actually play into your self-image. So if we want to break through and create new levels of success, creating a new self-image is absolutely a core piece of that. And it's something that I feel is an ongoing project. It's something that will continue to evolve as you evolve your own success. So when I'm thinking about yogic practices, even if we think about Surya Namaskar, why do we invoke and activate the energy of Surya within? It's because what we are doing is to align ourselves with the core potency of the sun so that that now starts to generate our self-image. So that our self-image is now being activated from that cosmic level of activity and intelligence. And in fact, what starts to happen is that that begins to override the parental, the ancestral, the karmic, etc. It's a very intelligent technology for shifting your self-image so that it is operating from deep cosmic intelligence And now that cosmic intelligence is available to you to create your success.